Hi. You might have heard of a designer called Rosenberg. He kind of makes some games that people have heard of. I mean, there's this. Well, there's the grown-up version of this. This is Agricola for 2 players, because 2 players don't want to bother feeding themselves. So, anyway, he also makes a deceptively long game about shipping boxes of Agricola and steel and cows and other things. And this Caverna, which is a game about putting lots of things in boxes and trying to get them to fit back in this box. And dwarfs. In 2010, Rosenberg also made another game that apparently nobody had ever heard of. Yeah, even me. That game was Merkator. Here we have it, and it must win the prize for the dullest box art ever. Now, Merkator is, as far as I can tell, so obscure and so unsuccessful. Well, maybe it was successful, but successful in a limited kind of way. Anyway, the point being is that game isn't in stock anymore, and I normally don't go do lally for games that aren't in stock because I refuse to pay lots of money when I can buy a game that's in print. But thanks to Rado Runs Through, Richard Ham on YouTube, I had to have this game, and I had to have this game almost as much as I had to have Citrus, thanks to Rhiannon. Only it turns out that getting this game, which appears not to be in print, was easier than getting Citrus. But anyway, I got a copy, and that copy came from Belgium. Belgium? 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 So here we have Merkator, which is apparently set just after the 30 Years' War. 17th, 18th century, my history fails me. It's all about the rise to power of Hamburg. And the game essentially has this abstracted map of Europe and the New World. There's Newfoundland, and each major producer, so England will produce fabric or coal, Spain will produce citrus or spice, France plums or wine, the Dutch Republic has vegetables or calfskins, quite randomly. Hamburg has livestock or muskets. Danzig has grain or saltpeter. Russia up here has fish oil or ham. And finally Sweden there has copper or iron. Now each player will have their own player boards where they can store these materials, so plums, citrus fruit, vegetables, ham and so on, and an area on this side for the more, the less perishable goods. They'll also have 2 bonus cards. So here, if I go to Italy, I'd get 2 coal, or if I followed somebody to Italy, I'd get 1. And the game consists of filling these contract cards, starting with the 2s, Each player, now these are upside down because we've not started the game yet, they normally face up. You get 2, a 3, a 4 and a 5. As does the other player. And whoever starts next gets 2 extra time tokens, and they're used because if you need to travel, let's say you want to go to Spain, that will cost you a time token, and if you don't have that many, you can't go. And Newfoundland there, look, costs 3 to get to because it's the other side of the world. But some places like Hamburg here will give you 2, and you take these from a time board, which is like a built-in clock, and when we tick down to the last one, when this is gone, then it's the end of the game. Or when the first person to build a level 10 contract, so for example this Dutch Republic any 10 weapons, they'll get the Peace of Westphalia card, which is worth 14 points. And the game will go for one more round for everybody else. When these time counters tick down a row, what will happen is you'll turn it over and it'll have a letter, so this is A. And anything that's in row A on the board here will spoil. So if I had some plums, some citrus fruit and some vegetables, one of those would spoil. You can buy with money that you can get from selling your contract cards, because each one's a value. So a level 3 here we could sell for 3 coins. You can buy extra bonus cards, and you can buy buildings that either give you straight up victory points or victory points based on a condition. For example, this one would give you 2 victory points per storage depot with all goods. So if I'd filled one of these up, it'd get me 2 points. Or I could get half a point per cube that's classed as food. And you'll notice on the board here that some of them are classed as food, some of them are classed as clothing and food, livestock, and some are classed as weapons. And how you do that is you go out on the board. So if I went to Hamburg, I would get all the cubes that are there. I would get +2 time tokens from the board here. And if I had any contracts in Hamburg, I could complete them at a time. And during step 4 here, the other player can choose to follow me. So if the other player here had a contract and wanted to fulfill it in my turn, they could pay me 1 time token, come here and do the thing. Some people don't like Uwe's perchance to make you feed your workers in his games. It's probably the biggest complaint levelled against Agricola, to which you should just play Agricola or creatures big and small. Then you can play with cute little animals. And Caverna addresses that as well, in so much as you still have to feed your workers, and it can be tense, but there's a chance in the middle of a game that you might not have to harvest, and it's not quite as desperate as Agricola. I mean, you even have to feed your workers in the Havre with ships, I think. Now, Merkator, there isn't any feeding mechanism, so if you don't like Uwe's games because of that, then you might want to look at this. You might want to look at this if you like pretty decent trading in the Mediterranean style Euro games. So not if you're Tom Vassal. It does have that mechanism where when the time counters tick down, you can lose perishable goods, which it was appropriate for the time because, you know, they hadn't invented the fridge freezer. This was before the 1970s. I suppose the only problem you've got if you're Rhiannon and you need this game, yes you Rhiannon, if you're watching this, and you should be watching this, you need this game. The only problem is it's apparently, at least over here, it's not in stock. The good news is, as I said, I got my copy from Belgium, and it was 35 euros. That's not bad. That's worth 35 euros. Just think about that. What else could you get from Belgium for 35 euros? Actually, I don't know. That wasn't a joke. That was just a question. I went to Belgium once. It's a nice place. Catch you around soon.